If you open it and smell it, you see. It's crude. That's what we're drinking. This water was taken from the tap.
He's travelled to Britain because he's given up all hope of justice in his native Nigeria. This is the king of the Ogale people in the Niger Delta, and he says their drinking water's contaminated by oil from old pipelines owned by Royal Dutch Shell.
We see strange skin diseases. We see strange thing, our young boys and young girls getting married, can't have children, they become impotent. Strange diseases like cancer. You know, we're wondering what is happening.
The 40,000-strong Ogale community live in the Ogoniland region, which has been devastated by successive oil spills. They and another group, the Bile community, want Shell to start paying for a major cleanup, something recommended in a report by the United Nations Environment Programme 5 years ago. Shell, with its headquarters in London, will argue that the case should be heard in Nigeria, as it involves its Nigerian subsidiary, SPDC. The claimants say Shell knows that could take decades in a system racked with delays and corruption.
If a parent company is calling the shots, it's making the big decisions, it's actually ultimately responsible for what's going wrong in Africa or Latin America or the Middle East, then surely it should be held to account.
Shell also insists it can't be held accountable for damage by so-called third parties, stating, "Both Bile and Ogale are areas heavily impacted by crude oil theft, pipeline sabotage and illegal refining, which remain the main sources of pollution across the Niger Delta. Ogale is in Ogoniland, and it's important to note that SPDC has produced no oil or gas in Ogoniland since 1993. Access to the area has been limited following a rise in violence, threats to staff and attacks on facilities." Shell says it's supporting efforts by the Nigerian government, which recently launched a $1 billion cleanup program in the Niger Delta. But there's no deadline, and campaigners say they have little faith in the process.
This is far from the first case of its kind. In early 2015, Shell agreed to pay around 15,000 Nigerian fishermen from another community more than $3,000 each in compensation for the impact of oil spills on their livelihoods. So the claimants here hope they can get a similar outcome.
The judgment on whether the new cases can be brought here is expected sometime next year. Nadim, Al Jazeera, London.